Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be reviewing personalities and its transformations with Dr. Jordan Peterson on the Peterson Academy. So this is now the 5th time that I've completed this course. Yes, you heard that right, the 5th time. Not this iteration specifically, but as many of you may know, Jordan Peterson has released his lectures over the years for free on YouTube. That's kind of how he got popular. So from 2014 to 2017, he released his lectures that he was doing, I believe, at the University of Toronto, free on YouTube. So if you guys are interested in this course and you're not signed up for the Peterson Academy, but you still want to check it out, it's free on YouTube for you guys. And I have actually watched every single one, and I think they're all worth it. Obviously, the 2017 version is probably the best. The camera's in the back of the classroom for the most of it, so it's a little bit easier to watch, whereas the first couple iterations, he had the camera like right on his desk. And I loved each and every one of them. If you're asking me why I took the course 4 times, why did I take each iteration of it, I was actually pretty curious on how a professor grows over the years. So I wanted to watch Jordan Peterson develop through 2014 to 2017, and it's very interesting to go back and watch those lectures and see how he's grown as a professor. He just gets better and better and better. And, you know, he hasn't put out a personality and transformations course since 2017 until now with the 2024 iteration on the Peterson Academy. And obviously it's a lot more beautiful. He has those sharp, snappy suits now that he wasn't wearing before. And the Peterson Academy just in general looks a lot more appealing when you watch the lectures. I know I've mentioned that like 1,000 times now, but I think his lectures in this course, are actually the best he's ever done for personality and transformations. Now, that might seem a little bit obvious. You would kind of expect Jordan to get better and better over the years, but I think the leaps he's taken with this specific course have been quite astonishing. Like going back to the 2017 lectures and watching these ones are so much more dense. There's so much more in there. They're a little bit more religious in some ways, but I thought that would be fantastic. I'll give a couple more thoughts on my lecture on the course itself towards the end of the video. As always, I'll start by reading off the synopsis on the Peterson Academy website first, and then we will go over the quizzes, the recommended books. I'll give you guys the names of all the lectures, and then I'll give you guys a couple criticisms that I have with this course, because it's not too often that I have any criticisms for Jordan Peterson, but there have been a couple, and they're more conceptual, so they're quite interesting. But first, let's read off that synopsis on the Peterson Academy website. In Personality and Its Transformations, a 9-hour course, Dr. Jordan Peterson presents a comprehensive exploration of the foundations of personality psychology, integrating perspectives from psychoanalytic, humanistic, existential, and neurobiological traditions. The lectures weave together insights from classical thinkers like Freud and Jung with modern philosophical research, examining concepts such as the unconscious mind, personal transformation, and the role of dreams in psychological development. Through discussions of the hero's journey, personality traits, and the integration of various psychological frameworks, the course offers a unified understanding of human personality development, combining ancient wisdom traditions with contemporary scientific findings to illuminate the process of personal growth and transformation. So that gives you guys kind of a general overview of what this course is about. Like I said before, if you guys have already taken the YouTube versions of this course, then you kind of already know what's going to be covered. Myself, this was the easiest course that I've taken by far. Basically everything in this course is already baked into my mind. Now, if you're wondering if you kind of already have taken the YouTube version, is it worth it to sign up for the Peterson Academy for this version? I would say it is. I am quite glad that I took this course. Obviously, I needed to take it to review it for you guys, but you know, part of me was like, do I really want to take a course that I've already taken 4 times? And I think it's absolutely worth it. I think he integrates a lot of the ideas that he has in We Who Wrestle with God, his new book. He weaves a lot of that stuff into these lectures, and it's fantastic. Now, one criticism that I do have before I get into the more conceptual criticisms near the end of the video is that his lectures on the Peterson Academy, while they are the best lectures I think he's ever done, I think this is the best form of Jordan Peterson we've seen, in my own personal opinion. He tends to blend some of the ideas across the lecture. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of overlap, maybe more than you would want to see, but I don't know for certain because I haven't taken multiple courses from the same professor like I have with Jordan Peterson before. So What I mean by that is about 10 to 15% of what he talks about in personality and its transformations, he also brings up in his Sermon on the Mount. He also brings up in his Nietzsche course. So there's a little bit of crossover, and I know some people might think of that in a negative light. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with hearing the message over and over again. That's kind of how it gets baked into my mind, but some people might find that a little bit annoying, that he's covering the same thing over and over again across different courses. Now, each course is specific, like the Sermon on the Mount is covering the Sermon on the Mount. This personality course is covering personality traits. If you want to learn about the Big Five personality model, I think this is the best course on the planet to learn about it. You've just seen the way he's honed his ability to talk about the Big Five over the years, and I think he's at a point now where he's kind of mastered it. I don't think I've ever seen any lecture, any course that's better than this one when it comes to understanding personality. So he did a fantastic job. I'm just saying that there's a little bit of overlap. So I'm going to go over the names of the lectures now. The first is Bridging Psychology's Foundations. The second is Beyond Comfort Zones. The third is Navigating the Unconscious. The fourth is Integrating the Shadow. The fifth is Dialogue as Transformation. The sixth is The Human Experience. The seventh is Personality at Play. And the eighth is Traits and Transformation. So if you guys wanted to pause at any point there and read the little blurbs, you guys can. I do think that Jordan Peterson may have typed out his own descriptions for his lectures and the course itself, because it's really well worded, but fantastic course, like I said before. My conceptual problems with Jordan Peterson here. Now, Jordan Peterson is one of those people who I think it's pretty obvious. If you guys look through the content on my channel, I look up to him quite a bit, and I don't usually find much to criticize him about. A lot of the stuff that he says I do agree with. Maybe it's because I'm from the same town as him. I was also born in Edmonton. Maybe it's because I align with him personality-wise quite a bit. I'm also pretty high in trait openness and high in agreeableness. It could be a bunch of different things, but for me, Jordan Peterson is just one of those people that speaks to me, and I find him to be a very honest person. However, there are a couple things where I think he either missteps or he's not seeing the full picture. And while that may be, presumptuous to say, I think I'm onto something here, and I want to share it with you guys now, and then you guys can let me know down in the comments. So one thing that he brought up in the lectures, and he's brought this up many times before in his podcast episodes, so this isn't too much of a spoiler, but one thing that he brought up is the online activity of the dark tetrad types. And he says that these troll demons, these online troll demons types, their personalities have been examined. Like, we know what their personalities are, and they exhibit the qualities of the dark tetrad, the Machiavellianism, narcissism, psychopathology. And I agree with all of that. I agree with how he's breaking that down and how he's getting to that conclusion. And he's right. However, it's not the full picture, and here's why. So I'm somebody who just a couple years ago was one of these troll demons, and you might not think it by looking at me or hearing me talk, but for a long time I would post online and I would think, like, just going on Instagram, shit talking in comments, my thought process would be, how could I use the smallest amount of words to create the biggest amount of backlash in a comment section? How could I get the most long-worded, paragraph-long comments back by putting the shortest possible phrase in there? So it was me, being a troll. That's what a troll is they're trying to, upset people and aggravate people. So I was literally trolling people. Now, sometimes it was pretty playful. Most of my engagement online is in MMA communities, so I'm talking to other martial artists. So these people aren't going to get their feelings hurt too easily, but they do get riled up and aggressive rather easily, so it's fun to play with them a little bit. But sometimes I would cross the line and I would say things that are very, very mean. Now, what I would find in engaging in these kind of online arguments and comment sections is oftentimes insults would be thrown back and forth, and like Jordan Peterson has said before, in ways that you would never do in real life. Now, I'm going to circle around back to that because I think that's an important piece of it, but we would throw these insults back at each other, and it's like the worst things you could say to another human being. I won't even repeat them here. But I found normally at the end of those exchanges, it was almost like cathartic for both people. We would kind of come together at the end and go, you know what, I'll give you a little bit of line here. You were kind of right on that point. I'll give you a little bit of line here. You were right on that point. And then I usually found myself either DMing the person or, messaging them and just saying like, this was fun. Like I had a fun little afternoon with you, exchanging some jabs back and forth. And now it seems like we kind of regained common ground, and I almost make a friend with that person online. Now, usually I don't talk to those people ever again, but I find it interesting that there's this like release, there's this release of aggression that, I think a lot of us have pent up, and then we kind of come together at the end of it. Now, you can see that in real life too. If you get into a fight with a spouse, you usually yell at the other person, throw some insults, they'll throw some back, and then hopefully by the end of it, once you've gotten that all out, you kind of come together again. So I find that happens online quite a bit, and I've actually witnessed other people go through that. I've seen like threads of arguments, and I'm like, holy, these people hate each other, and you scroll down to the very end, and they've kind of made up by the end, and you're like, oh, that's kind of a good ending. Now, obviously, not every exchange ends like that, but I just wanted to say that because I think people are getting out their aggression and their pent-up emotions out online because this day and age, we're a lot more closed off from other human beings. You walk around and most people are on their phones, they're looking down, they got something going on, maybe they're on a phone call with somebody. People are very closed off now and in their own worlds. You don't see as many people like walking around like, hey, how are you doing? And then striking up a conversation. It doesn't happen as much. So people are more lonely in today's day and age, I find, even though we are more connected than ever. So I think people are taking out those emotions that they're not getting out in the real world online, and they can do it in a much more extreme form. That's another thing too. I'm going to circle around back to that. You can say things online that you can't say in person. So maybe people are just playing with that. I'm going to talk about kind of younger people right now, maybe 25, people younger than 25. I think these people are just kind of playing with saying the worst things that they can to see what kind of reactions are they going to get. And it's almost better to simulate that online than to do it in the real world and maybe get punched in the face. That's my personal opinion. Jordan Peterson might disagree with me on that. He might say, just don't do it at all and restrain that. But people lash out all the time. We lash out on the highway. I'm sure everybody watching this video has said something racist in their car sometime when somebody cuts them off, right? We get really aggressive, especially while driving. But I think people are, they're testing that out, especially young kids. They kind of test that out. They see where the boundaries are online. And then I think it actually makes them better communicators in the real world. And I know I just said that people are very closed off and they don't really talk to each other in person as much, but I do find that, verbal intelligence seems to have gone up population-wise, especially in the modern developed world. I find people with phones, they're watching so many videos, they're watching their favorite content creator or podcasts or TV shows. They have all this input coming in, and with, commenting on message boards and putting their own thoughts out there, people are developing better and better verbal skills. And I think that's partly attributed to people arguing online and getting into the messiness and getting into what Jordan Peterson would say, the dark tetrad traits. They're kind of expressing those traits online in a place where it's, I don't want to say safe, but you kind of are safe because you can say it online, you could say it anonymously, and you're not going to get any backlash, so you can kind of play with it. And Jordan would say, that's bad, we need to target that, we can't have people doing that. And I understand that. Like, I agree with his diagnosis here that these people are displaying dark tetrad qualities. But I just think that it's more of a complicated issue than that. I think that the technology itself has created, it's almost like, and Jordan Peterson has also mentioned this, that maybe every single social media platform should be pay to use so that you don't have these kind of anonymous types, or at least, if you're trolling people online, you're paying every month to do that, so less people are going to be incentivized to do that. I think what you could perhaps equate this to is giving everybody a free car and just saying that cars are free, because the increase in power in which you get when you get given a free car is quite a bit. You've just spiked up the power that you have. Now you have a motorized vehicle that you could run somebody over with, you can go anywhere with, you could drive it into a tree. Like, there's so many possibilities now that you have a car. And it's almost the same with having free online social media. Like, you're giving people power that maybe they shouldn't have. And Jordan has also pointed at this, that these anonymous types, these like troll demons, as he calls them, they have access to, thousands and thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people will see their comments if they just post it online and it's, provocative enough to aggravate enough people, it's going to spread, and then people are going to see it, and then they're going to get, a little bit of popularity for that. Maybe some people follow them. Maybe some people like the fact that they're antagonistic and poking buttons. So it's kind of like giving everybody a free car. You have this free social media base where you can really speak to anybody on the planet, and you can do it anonymously. And that's what Jordan Peterson points at. It's the anonymity of it that he thinks is an issue. Now, I think you should have that opportunity, because I think most people grow out of this. I think most of these troll demons that he's talking about are younger children. I think they are people prior to the age of 25. Now, you will see some people, in their 30s, 40s, even 50s online posting things, and you're like, man, why are you this angry? Why are you online posting this? Like, don't you have kids? Don't you have a family? Don't you have other responsibilities? Usually people accumulate enough responsibilities in their late 20s, early 30s, where they kind of grow out of, shit posting online. But still, some people do it. I understand that. I don't think you're ever going to change that. But I think with these younger people, the people, pre-age 25, I think they're kind of just playing with this new tool in a way that in the parameters that they can. If you're allowed to be anonymous on a free to use platform, it's not really illegal to, piss people off. So anyways, I could make this video like 3 hours long if I talk about this all day. The other point that I wanted to mention was dating. So he talks about young men and how a lot of them say like, oh, the women in this world are just too bad, and they have these high body counts, and I don't want to date any of them, and I can't seem to find a good woman. And Jordan Peterson's response to this is, it's not so obvious that, you actually have any doors open to any women. You probably don't even have that opportunity. So I think what he's trying to say there is, he wants young men to make the best of themselves, to become strong, to become independent, to pick up a cross, to put some responsibility on their back, and to grow into men. And then women will assumingly want them. However, this isn't exactly the case. I am 40 years younger than Jordan Peterson, so I'm 24, about 40 years younger than him, and I'm living in this generation. I'm seeing it. I'm looking for a mate right now. I've given up on it a little bit, not completely. I'm still trying to look, but I've seen other friends of mine completely give up on it, and it's not because they can't find a woman. It's not because they can't get laid. And this is what Jordan Peterson was saying in these lectures was, you probably don't even have the opportunity to do that, so you need to work on yourself. And I don't think that that's completely the case. I think there are a lot of men out there who have every ability to go out there and get laid. If they wanted to go to a nightclub and hit on a girl, they probably could take her home and have casual sex with her. I think the problem with young men right now is they don't want that. The priorities between young men and young women are so polarized right now. They're so far from each other that's the real issue. It's not so much that young men are being immature or that young women are being immature. It's the fact that we're not even pointed in the same direction right now. I've seen young men, friends of mine. I have a friend that works at a car dealership. The guy is like 6'2", 6'3", handsome, like has like the face of a model, and he makes six figures, and he's my age. And he can't find a girlfriend. He can get laid anytime he wants, but he can't find a girlfriend because, men want somebody with a lower body count, ideally, right? I think a lot of men have given up on this idea, or at least they probably should to some degree, and Jordan talks about this in his lectures. They probably should give up to some degree on finding a virgin, especially if you don't hold yourself to that same standard. If you're not a virgin yourself, you probably shouldn't be looking exclusively for virgins. But I think men want somebody with a lower body count or somewhere around where they're at. The problem is that there's so much casual sex happening these days, where there's a lot of women who are very popular on Instagram. That's where all of the male gaze is going to, and all of those women have very high body counts, and they're much, much higher than the men who are looking at them. Whereas there's this huge group of women who aren't online, who aren't posting, who do have lower body counts, but they're not really being looked at. And that sucks. That sucks for women. it's horrible for both sides. I'm not saying that this is the young men's fault or the young women's fault. It's a huge societal issue, and it's multifaceted. I can't cover the whole thing today, but I just think with where Jordan Peterson's a little bit wrong or not seeing the full picture is there are a lot of young men today that are doing everything they can. They're working out, they're in shape, they have good jobs, they're attractive, they have everything, but they seem to they're either looking in the wrong place. They're either, fishing for sharks in a pond, which I think a lot of people do with, signing up for dating sites. You're fishing for a shark in a pond. Like, you're not going to find what you're looking for there. And I think a lot of young men are just kind of giving up at this point. They see all these OnlyFans models everywhere, and they don't want anything to do with it. And men and women are driving further and further apart, and there's a bigger and bigger wedge being driven between them. Now, who's driving the wedge? We can debate that all day, whether it's the elites of society or whoever it is. I don't want to point fingers today. I'd rather look at the problems. But I think another thing too is I've gone on dating apps many times, and I've actually created, I probably shouldn't do this, but I've actually created female accounts just to see what kind of the men look like. Like, what does the male dating pool actually look like from the other side? And what I find is there's a lot of males who are, very conservative, they're turning more Christian. Christianity's making a comeback in young men. And there's also quite a bit of racism, not on dating apps. I find this just like in general on social media, but there's a lot of subtle racism happening on the side of men. Whereas with women, I go on dating apps and I find a lot of them are, putting in their bios, I'm just looking for casual fun time, or, if I see this, and I think 1 out of 10 profiles has this now. If you're conservative, swipe left. So there's a lot of this tilt towards liberalism amongst young females, and there's this tilt towards conservatism amongst young men. Now, that's driving a wedge between the young populations of men and women that I think needs to be addressed and rectified. And there might be certain strategies and ways of doing that. I don't want to get into all of them today because this video is already getting too long. But these are just some of the ways that I think Jordan Peterson is kind of missing parts of the full picture. Again, I don't think that he's wrong. I don't think he's wrong in diagnosing these online troll demons. I wouldn't call them troll demons because I think a lot of these are just young kids with cell phones. But I think a lot of the troll demons online, yes, they are displaying qualities of, the dark tetrad. But I think on the other side too, I think a lot of these young men who are, not dating, it's not so much that they don't have the prospects to get laid. It's that they don't have the prospects that they ideally want. It's because they're aimed at something a little bit different than what it seems young women are aimed at. And Jordan Peterson has also pointed to this, that there are a lot of young women that are it's not being shoved down their throat as much today, but a lot of young women have been, he would say, tricked into this shoot of going down the professional career path and putting off having children and a family till later in life when biologically it's just not as feasible. And I think men and women are just shooting in completely different directions right now. And I think that also needs to be talked about, because it's not so much that it's just, all these loser young men who don't have access to women. I think there's a lot of young men out there who are doing the right things, who are in the right spot, who are working out, who make money, who have their stuff, have their life together, and again, maybe it's the lenses they have on. Maybe they're fishing for sharks in a pond. Maybe they're not looking in the right place. But again, I'm gonna have to stop there for today because I'm getting into rabbit holes that I don't want to go too far down. Both of those are like their own videos. So maybe in the future, I'll do a psychology of the modern dating scene video if you guys want that. I know this is a little bit political and I don't like to do politics on my channel because I like to bring people together, not split them apart, but perhaps I can walk that line well and I can make a decent video there that can actually help bring some people together, because it's a very complicated issue. And I think Jordan Peterson is right in his ways, but he's also a little bit strict and constraint in his view of it. So I'd love to talk to him someday and discuss these things, because I'm somebody who's a young man living this out. I don't have a girlfriend right now. I don't have a wife, and I'm almost 25. Well, I'll be 25 in like 6-7 months, but when I turn 25, I'm going to be like, damn, like I should have a kid by now or something, or maybe I should like have a girlfriend that I'm looking to turn into a wife. Like, I feel that pressure on me. So anyways, I'll wrap it up there for today. We still have to cover the recommended books and the quizzes. To go over the quizzes real quick for you guys, I only took 2 of them because I want to start saving my quizzes. You can't retake quizzes, and that's a problem for me because I'm crushing courses so fast right now that I'm going to lose a lot of it. And if I don't have the quizzes to test me and to go back on, it's going to be a little bit difficult for myself because we haven't gotten the final exams yet. So I'm going to take 1 to 2 quizzes each course that I review now, and hopefully that's good enough for you guys, and I'll give you guys kind of a sense of what they're like. But I want to save the bulk of them for later because, like I said, you can't retake them at the moment. You can still go back to your old quizzes and see what you marked and see what you got wrong and which questions you got right. Like, you could see all the questions and answers, but you can't actually retake the quizzes. So hopefully that feature gets added. Hopefully they add more quiz questions or randomize it or something. But I'm going to start saving some of the quizzes. Hopefully that's okay with you guys. And the recommended books I'll go over. The first one is The Discovery of the Unconscious by Henry F. Ellenberger. The second is Effective Neuroscience by Jaak Panksepp. And the third is A Way of Being by Carl Rogers. So all 3 of those books I have actually read. I haven't finished Effective Neuroscience yet, but I'm almost done that one. If you guys want to find it, it's a little bit expensive if you guys go and buy it off of Amazon. So if you guys want to find Effective Neuroscience, it is on Internet Archive. You just sign up for a free account. It doesn't charge you anything. And you guys can borrow it from their library and read through it. It's a PDF scroller, so if some of you guys really don't like that, then maybe go out and buy the book. But I saw on Amazon it was like $140, and I don't really have the money to blow that right now. So I've been reading it online, and I found it to be incredibly useful. And then obviously Carl Rogers, I read a couple years ago. He's, one of the greatest psychologists of all time. The Discovery of the Unconscious, too, is one of the greatest psychology books I've ever read, and I will be making a why you should read video on that in the future. So, is there anything else that I wanted to cover today with this course? I mean, I could talk about it all day. I could talk about the ideas in it all day. A lot of the earlier lectures he was doing in his personality course, he would use Disney films as examples, and he would kind of put still images up on his whiteboard or his PowerPoint board. And he would use Disney films and the archetypes within them to explain personality and its transformations, which I thought was brilliant. In fact, I latched onto that so hard that I've been making my own film analysis videos that center around those Disney films and the psychology of it and kind of dissecting them from a Jungian lens. So I've had a lot of fun with that. I've kind of only covered the Disney films that Jordan Peterson talks about the most because he's been helping me make those videos. But in the future, I will be making more and more film analysis videos, and they will be done in kind of a Petersonian, Jungian way where I'm kind of analyzing them psychologically and breaking them down for you guys. And I hope that's fun because it's a lot of fun for me. And it helps me to understand personality and the unconscious and archetypes and all of that stuff. It clicks a lot more for me when I can associate it to a film, when I can associate it to characters who I know. So that's going to be partly my goal on this channel, and I just wanted to say that because this course, especially the previous versions, which I took many, many years ago, they inspired me quite a bit. In fact, they were huge inspirations for me starting this channel. So thank you, Jordan Peterson, for the fantastic course. I would love to have a conversation with you one day and talk about the modern dating scenes and the online troll demons. Again, just a couple more words on that to kind of clear my thoughts because I'm kind of all over the place today. My apologies, but these online troll demons, I wouldn't go so far as to call them that because occasionally Jordan Peterson can be a little bit of an online troll demon. If I have one criticism, maybe 2 of Jordan Peterson, it'd be he should probably delete his Twitter. Now, I know he finds people on Twitter, but there's better ways of finding people. You can listen to podcasts, you can go on Spotify, if that's really the only reason why you keep Twitter is to find new podcast guests, I think that that's a bit of a weak argument myself, but hey, if that's the reason why you keep Twitter, maybe do something else when it comes to posting. I would love Jordan Peterson to focus more on posting things that are useful rather than commenting back at people. And it's not even so much that he's wrong when he does it, because a lot of the times when he whips back at people, I'm like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm glad somebody said something. But at the same time, for his own sake and his own mental sanity, you know, if you see a Sports Illustrated model that you don't think is attractive, saying, sorry, not beautiful, I don't know if it helps at all. Like, I get it, and to a degree I agree, but I don't think it helps anything. So in some way, that's a little bit of online troll demon behavior. If the comment doesn't help anything, I don't see why you would post it. And that's why when it comes to Instagram, I have largely stopped commenting. I still comment from time to time, but I don't post anything that I think would be in any way controversial. I think on my Instagram, I only post paintings, which I love. And I would love if Jordan Peterson did the same thing, because I'd love to know which paintings he's particularly interested by. But I post paintings that I love on my Instagram, and on my Twitter and on my Threads, or X, I'm never going to get adjusted to X, but on my X and on my Threads, I tend to post quotes, like quotes from Nietzsche or quotes from Dostoevsky or quotes that I find useful. And hopefully that's helpful for people. I know I haven't posted in like a year, and I've been really, really bad for posting on Threads and X, so please don't even go follow me there. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram and see what paintings I post, that's cool, but I haven't really been that much of a poster on X or Threads. I don't really use them that much, but that would be one of my criticisms, is like, Jordan, you also do a little bit of online trolling. Now, you're not like a Machiavellian or a narcissistic type, I don't think, but I would just be careful with that language, because I think there are a lot of young people who are just trying out expressing the darker sides of their shadow. You know, they're playing with that. They're trying to integrate it, I think. So you need to be cautious, and you need to kind of expand out and try to see the fuller picture, because a lot of this is the technology itself. And he's onto something when he says that social media platforms should be pay to use. He is onto something there. I think that is better for society. I like what X has done, where you have to pay to get verified, and then you get all these extra features. I don't have a subscription for that. Like I said, I don't really engage on X, but I think something like that route would be a better way for the future, because it is a problem. It is a problem. There are way too many online trolls, and you'd be surprised how many of them are like 9 years old. Like, you'd be surprised. A lot of them, they might seem like they have, you know, amazing verbal abilities, and they're just so well at typing sentences and formulating their ideas. But a lot of these kids are really, really young. Like I said earlier, I think just overall verbal intelligence has just been going up across society. So, you know, that's all that I will say on that point today. But I can expand my thoughts on that in a future video. So that's all that I have for today, guys. I know I made this a little bit of a longer video. That's because I kind of feel bad for not posting so much the last couple of weeks. I want to be somebody who posts like 4 to 5 times a week, hopefully, eventually. It's a little bit difficult right now. I do work a job where my work kind of picks up when there's a lot of snow out, so we'll see. I should be back in the regular swing of things in the new year. But thank you guys so much for your patience. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the world to me. It truly does. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. It helps boost this channel in the algorithm. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.